Okay, let us discuss this question. So the question reads, you have different levels of nursing staff, including the staff under your care, and you need to make use of them in order to ensure that you achieve the goals of your ward. So you have different levels of nursing staff, including the support staff under your care, and you need to make use of them in order to ensure that you achieve the goals of your ward. Question 1, define delegation. So guys, delegation is just to be able to assign some work to others. You wake up at home and kurukusikembare, kurukupanga munganda, kurukupika breakfast, then you assign that work to others. Oh, iyo mwacho wara sukembare, iyo wara pyanga munganda, iyo wara ipika. That is delegation in simplest form. So if you are writing, you say this is the assignment to another person of form authority and responsibility for carrying out specific activities. Ngorefu hashasana ukuli answer 5%, you can say delegation is a process by which a nurse manager assigns responsibility and the necessary authority to a subordinate to perform specific tasks or duties, while the delegator retains overall accountability for the outcome. You even give an example. For example, a ward manager may delegate drug chart transcribing to a senior staff nurse, giving authority to carry out the task but remaining accountable for correct medication administration systems. So that's a type of an example, but you can even just say, for example, the nurse in charge might always not be available for the key where we put DDA drugs. So the nurse might give a senior staff in the ward to hold those keys on behalf of the in charge. Then B says outline 5 principles of delegation, 20%. Guys, when you just hear the word principles, know that they are asking for things that guides the thing they are asking you for. So when they say principles of delegation, they want you to explain things that guide the process of delegation. So number 1 is clarity of task and objectives. So the delegated task or the task which is assigned must have expected outcome, the limits of authority and time frame must be clearly defined so that the subordinate knows exactly what is required. So the first principle is clarity of task and objectives. Even the word clarity shows you something here. We are just simply saying, as you delegate this, make sure that you clarify the task and objectives. You must clearly define the task, the expected outcome, and the limits of authority. So principle number 1, clarity of task and objectives. Principle number 2, match responsibility with appropriate authority. So when assigning responsibility, you as a manager, you must grant sufficient authority, which is decision-making power and access to resources, so the subordinate can accomplish the tasks. Others will say, consider the available resources as a principle. Then you start explaining to say, when you are delegating, you must consider and give the resources that are needed to solve the job that you want that person to do, whom you are assigning the job to. So this is what we are saying, match responsibility with appropriate authority. So make sure that the responsibility you are giving to someone, that someone has the authority to do that. That is number 2. Number 3, delegation to the right person, competence. Tasks should be delegated only to staff who have the knowledge, skills, training, and experience to perform them safely and effectively. So we are talking about competency. When you are trying to give someone to do wound cleaning, make sure that it is someone who knows how to do that job. That's why we say when a first year student is working in a ward, the staffs are responsible to make sure that that student nurse does exactly what belongs in his scope or her scope of practice as a first year nurse. So delegation to the right person. Number 4, accountability remains with the delegator. So you, who is the delegator, who is assigning this, you must know that you are accountable for whatever happens for that thing you've delegated. So we are saying, while responsibility and authority can be delegated, ultimate professional and regular accountability for patient care rests with the delegator. Regular supervision is therefore required. So accountability will always remain with you who is assigning. Number 5, provide support, supervision, and feedback. So as the delegator, you must offer necessary instructions, resources, oversight, and constructive feedback throughout as you are delegating. Hopefully we are together. So just to go through the principles. Number 1, clarity of task and objectives. Number 2, match responsibility with the appropriate authority. Number 3, delegation to the right person, which is competence. Number 4, accountability remains with a delegator. Number 5, provide support, supervision, and feedback. These are the principles that I well researched when I was dealing with this question. Then B2 says explain 4 advantages and 4 disadvantages of delegation. This was 40%. You needed to explain very good, quite a lot of marks, but me, I'll be brief, then you can find more of the things. So what they wanted is you explain 4 advantages, then you explain 4 disadvantages. So the first 4 advantages, number 1 will be efficient use of time and resources. So when you are delegating, the good part is that there's going to be efficient use of time and resources. So you are going to say delegation frees the ward manager to focus on planning, coordination, and complex decision, while routine tasks are handled by others, increasing overall ward efficiency. Imagine you are in charge, you are everywhere, micromanaging, doing even the basics like taking vital signs. Now delegate those things to others so that you can have ample time to do your planning and some other organizational functions. The number 2, staff development and skill building. So delegating responsibilities provides learning opportunities, builds competence, confidence, and leadership skills among junior staff. Number 3, improved morale and motivation. When staff are trusted with responsibilities, job satisfaction, motivation, and engagement increase, reducing turnover. So when you are giving your staffs what to do, it gives them that confidence that they are indeed capable of doing their job, because you trust them, so they will have that morale and motivation to do their job. Then number 4 is better patient care and continuity. So proper delegation ensures tasks are done by those closest to the patient, improving timelines of care and workload distribution across the team. And delegation, since considers someone's competence, and this means that one of the advantage is that people will be delegated to a specific job will be those uh, who are competent to do that specific job. So we are saying the advantages of delegation is number 1, that is the efficient use of time and resources. There is staff development and skill building. How? Because when we are delegating responsibilities, we are providing a learning opportunity to these people, and it is going to build competence. The more people work on their own, the more they will be pushed to know how to do that, and thereafter they will definitely build competence in doing that. Improved morale and motivation, better patient care, and continuity. Then what are the disadvantages of delegation? Number 1, risk of incorrect performance. So if a task is delegated to an inadequately trained or inexperienced person, there is risk of errors that can harm patients or require correction. So we might lead to medical errors. You give someone to go and give a medicine, a drug, they didn't read because they are incompetent. They go and give a medication which was supposed to be given orally. They inject on a cannula, and those are incorrect performances. So number 2, loss of control by the manager. So poor supervision or unclear instruction can lead to inconsistent practice and loss of standardized care if the manager does not monitor outcomes. So the manager is going to lose control. They have delegated, so if they are not closely monitoring these people, they will lose that control, because at the end of the day, as you are delegating, your subordinates will learn how to do the job, and you might lose control as the manager. Then potential for role confusion and conflict. So without clear boundaries and communication, staff may be unclear about responsibilities, leading to duplication, omission of tasks, or interpersonal conflict. And sometimes we are inhuman, so as you are delegating, you might maybe give someone a lot of work and others a few work. Then there might be that conflict which might arise because of this improper delegation. Then number 4, unequal workload deception. So if delegation appears unfair, overloading some staff while others have light duties, this may create resentment and lower team morale. So this is what I was just from explaining, that if we do not delegate properly, other people are going to have this resentment. Then there are a lot of advantages of delegation, guys. Number 2, you are going to have free time as your manager. Then the other disadvantage is they might steal your work as an in charge. So if you're delegating everything, including the planning, at the end of the day, you beat people who are competent, who will replace you. So you're just creating some replacement who are going to replacement your job. Yeah, just like that time. Yeah, then C says explain 5 qualities of a good manager. Nkusangewa firo equation kukuma, because we are just talking about qualities. Anything, they are saying qualities of a good word manager. You guys who've worked in words and you know who a good manager is. Number 1, that word manager, that in charge you liked had effective communication skills. So you can that good communication skills and we got effective communication skills. They must be able to give clear instructions, listen to you actively, provide feedback, and facilitate good handovers, essential for self-delegation and teamwork. That good word manager, they had effective communication skills. Oero tutuntuma handover twakubikamu so that wamwana tumwa chari yakwad. If it were remember when we are writing, you write, okay, so when I'm doing a handover, I'll do this and this. So you explain that effective communication, when the in charge is there, making sure that is facilitating good handovers. The morning nurses give a proper handover. If they did something wrong, the in charge will correct like that. Then number 2 is the clinical competence and decision making. So as an in charge, as a ward manager, you must be clinically competent. You must possess sound clinical knowledge and the ability to make timely, evidence-based decision and to prioritize patient needs. Therefore, ainenga nesinga na filo kuchitakanyureti ngana mitaba in charge mwaisa tiseni muchitakanyureti. You must be able to do what to canyulate. So you must possess competence in clinical skills and even decision making. Ba in charge barataba fair. Tababa bwino. Pali progress report vampera 80% ine vampera 70%. But twakweba write the qualities of a good word manager walaba fairness and impartiality. So a good word manager treats staff equitably and allocates duties objectively and manages disputes without favoritism, builds trust and staff confidence. That is what a good word manager is. Number 4, we are talking about organizational and time management skills. A good in charge must be able to plan, coordinate resources, and manage competing demands so that the ward runs smoothly and targets are met. Then number 5, he must be or she must be a supportive leader and mentor. So she must be able to encourage staff development, delegates appropriately, provide supervision and constructive feedback, and fosters a positive working environment. Another quality I would put is that a leader must be able to receive negative feedback. There are times whereby even you as a ward manager, you are wrong, and people must be able to correct you and teach you. So that is part of the qualities that I think one of the good word manager is. So in a nutshell, we are saying effective communication skills, number 1, clinical competence and decision making, number 2, fairness, number 3, organization and time management skills, and number 5, they must be a good leader and mentor. Yeah. Then the last question is being in the being in charge of the ward, you need to draw up a duty roster. State 5 things you consider when coming up with a timetable. So, what are the things you are going to consider when coming up with a timetable? Number one is you need to be, the things that you are going to consider. Number one is staff availability. So you need to consider staff availability, leave and training schedules. Account for annual leaves, sick leave, stud leave and planned in-service training. So shifts are covered without last-minute gaps. Turafira ndororef guys, but turafimuna muad. So when they tell you to explain the 5 things you are going to consider when making a duty roster or a timetable is the staffs that are available. Who are the staffs that are available for now? Who are those on leave? Who are those in school? Then you put in consider uh, those things. So number one, staff availability. Number two, legal working hours and rest periods. So you are going to observe the time that a nurse must be in a ward, 6 hours shift or morning shift, afternoon shift, night shift. You also talk about which shift has a lot of people. So you are talking about working hours. Then the rest periods you also talk about, oh, who are those people are going to be off? Mwewa nakashima kwatana ka MD, like menstrual day. When are you supposed to be off your menstrual day? Yeah, just to be off. Then you are also going to put into consideration the nurse patient ratio in your ward, like how many patients do you always have in your ward, how many nurses should manage a specific number of patients, so that you put into consideration that. Then continuity of care and handover, so you need to make sure that there's proper continuity of care. And how are you going to ensure that continuity of care, so that you do not overlap shifts? Like, this nurse was supposed to be in the morning, again they find themselves working in the night shift. It not make sense. So you need to also put into that consideration. Then also fairness and staff preference rotation. So you must rotate unpopular shifts, nights, weekend fairly. Some people, you can't just put one person every time per weekend. Even them, they want to go out. So you must consider those things. So number one, we are saying staff availability. Also put into consideration working hours, so that you can at least consider how many nurses should be working in for how long. There are nurses who are lazy. So also talk about the competence of the people you are going to put. You must be considered when you are coming up with this. There are times when it is busy and there are times when it is not busy. And when it is busy, you need those people who are active. Quite often, marishwa tudanesi munangani uli, and you cannot just give them work or be alone on a shift when you know that they are not going to do a lot of jobs, a lot of work alone. Then other questions I've seen on delegation is outline 5 reasons why some managers are reluctant to delegate. So number one, time involved in explaining the task. So you are reluctant to delegate because you just afraid of spending time to delegate your task. So delegation requires that the managers takes time to explain the task involved to the subordinate. For this reason, some managers are reluctant to delegate and prefer just to do the work. Number two, fear of deprivation of being a boss. Some managers want to feel they are bosses and delegation deprives them of this feeling. Number four, fear that the subordinates may take over. Delegation may make the manager feel that the subordinate will take over his or her job because the subordinates may perform the work better than the manager. Lack of confidence in the subordinates. The manager may be reluctant to delegate due to lack of confidence in the subordinates that they will not do the work as the manager would like it to be done. Yeah, so subordinates can also mess up. So for that reason, the manager might be reluctant to delegate. So what are the steps of successful delegation? Number one, define the task to be delegated. This step involves clearly defining the nature of the task to be delegated. The delegator must confirm in his or her own mind that the task is suitable to be delegated so that he or she is sure that it meets the criteria for delegating. Number 2, selecting the individual or team to perform the task. You as a delegator must select the right individual or team to perform the task based on the knowledge, skills, and experience of the individual or team. Reasons for delegating to the individual person or team must be clear. Number 3, assessing ability and training needs. The delegator must assess the training needs of the individual or team selected to perform the task. This will enable the delegator to arrange for training or coaching should there be a need to enable the selected individuals or team be capable of performing the task. Then 4, explaining the reasons for delegating the task. In this step, the delegator must explain why the job or responsibility is being delegated, as well as why task is being delegated to that person or team. This will enable the individual or team appreciate the significance of the task. Then number 5, stating required result. So the delegator must clearly explain what must be achieved and clarify understanding. By getting feedback from delegated individual or team, further, how the result will be measured must be clarified to enable the delegated individual or team be aware how the delegator will decide that the job is being successfully done. The 6th step is considering resources required. As a delegator, you must discuss and agree what is required to get the job done. He or she consider people, location, premises, equipment, money, materials, and other related activities and services. Then agreeing deadlines. As a delegator, you must state when the job must be finished. Ngolefwaika pepamande walanda. Then supportive and communicating. You must be required to support the delegator, individual, or team throughout task performance by providing information that is relevant to task performance. Remember our principles, we said you are always accountable for what is being done. Then providing feedback on results. So it is essential to let the delegated person or team know how they are doing and whether they have achieved the objectives or not. So the 9 steps of successful delegation. Number 1, define the tasks to be delegated. Number 2, selecting the individual or team to perform the task. Number 3, assessing ability and training needs. Number 4, explaining the resources for delegating the task. Number 5, strong required results. Number 6, considering resources required. 7, agreeing deadlines. 5 and 8, supporting and communicating. And the number 9 one is providing feedback on results. So that is how you handle this question on delegation. And that marks the end of this explanation. Thank you.